Okay, now we're going to see Lasker against Tarrasch. Tarrasch was a great player in the, well, for a long time, but particularly in the late 1800s. And many people thought he was going to be the one to be world champion and dethrone Steinitz because he was so strong. But while Lasker was coming up, he went to Tarrasch and he challenged him to a match. This is before either of them had won the world championship. And Tarrasch said to Lasker, well, you know, you haven't really proven yourself. You're not worthy of a match with me. So Lasker decided to challenge Steinitz, the world champion, instead. And he won the world championship. And then later on, he played Tarrasch in a match, I think 1908, somewhere around there, and crushed Tarrasch really, really badly. Something like 8 wins, I think no losses, or you can look it up, but a huge crush. And Tarrasch was a very good player, but somewhat arrogant. So they didn't get along. Like, for example, in the World Championship match, before it started, he said to Lasker, Lasker's like, hello, Tarrasch. And Tarrasch says, I have only 2 words I'll say to you this whole match, check and mate. But unfortunately for Tarrasch, I'm pretty sure he didn't even win a game. So there's a lot of stories like that with Tarrasch. But he was a great player. And here we have an endgame. Now, I'm actually going to show a draw here, because Lasker was known for, as well as his endgame, also his defense. I should mention, Lasker was one of the really great endgame players of all time. Maybe the greatest. There's other people, Carlsen. Lasker had, among his contemporaries, some very strong endgame players, like Akiba Rubinstein, who many people consider the best. But, again, Lasker holds his own. Even Rubinstein, Capablanca, whoever you want to mention, Lasker's right up there with the great endgame players, rarely making a serious mistake in endgame. And in this position, though, it looks like Lasker's in a bit of trouble. In this position, Tarrasch played a5. And one of the things, we look for unstoppable passed pawns. And basically what's happening here, after a5, let's say white tries to get his own pawn through, plays h4. What Tarrasch is gonna do here is create an unstoppable passed pawn. So he'll go a c4 here. Actually, he could even go. He might also be able to head off the pawn with king g4. But before we look at that, let's look at what happens on c4. So he'll go c4. Actually, I'm not so sure about c4, because then pawn here, and white does get his unstoppable passed pawn. So at this point, black would just go here. And then, he's going to win this pawn. So white should rush over to the other side to stop Tarrasch's pawns. But the problem is, after c4,